Welcome to the Ops Experts Club with Aaron, Terryn, and Savannah. This podcast will take you behind the scenes of some of the finer details of multi-million-dollar companies. These ops experts have dealt with operations for scaling companies and well-established businesses with anywhere from small to large teams. If you've ever been deep into the details of a major company, then you know how much it takes, and these conversations are just for you. Welcome to the Ops Experts Club podcast.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Ops Experts Club, one of the only clubs that starts at 10 a.m., but we're happy to be here for you. So today we have Savannah and Aaron and a special guest with us, Tabby. I'm not going to say her last name because I recently found out everybody pronounces it wrong. So I'm going to try. She can say it for us so we all know how to say it. But
no, I'm going to be brave. So go ahead, keep going, and then I'll say something.
Okay. Aaron, you're up next.
No, I was going to say, so Tabby Kler?
Yes, Aaron, you got it right.
Well, take it for the win. Take it for the win. Sorry, Terryn, you can go ahead and now.
Welcome to our group, Tabby. It's nice to have you on. I'm not going to share too much about you because the point is to have you share about you. So just to start us off, tell us who you are, who you're working for, what you're doing, simple things like that.
Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Tabby. I am the accounting manager at Eternal Ventures LLC. I operate in kind of a hybrid role in which I'm overseeing all functions of our finance department and our team, as well as responsible for the accounting processes for Eternal Ventures. And I think we're up to 7 subsidiary entities now. So any other company fall under that.
Easy. No problem. It's a piece of cake. Piece of cake just amounted to the finance of 7 subsidiaries.
And so who is that with exactly for those of us listening that might know a little bit about our clients? Who is Eternal Ventures?
Eternal Ventures is what Pete Vargas started as his kind of operating company. He, if you're familiar with Pete at all, also operates Advance Your Reach. We've got the Wellspring Group, which Aaron is very involved in, which is incredible. We've got a lot. 10X Stages, where we're doing some work with Grant Cardone and a few other different entities that are a little bit smaller and have less going on, but still there.
Can I step in and just say this about Tabby? Like, first thing out of the gates, and then Tab, I'm going to let you tell your own story. I've been so impressed with you and your escalation within your journey, because I know that when we first brought you in, like, I remember early conversations, you had done schooling, right? You were just starting to get into the accounting world and things that you were getting into. And you're like, I think this is what I want to do. Let's see how this is going to go. And I know when Josh found you and brought you into accounting for Advance Your Reach at the time, before it had become even all these other bigger things, it was like, yeah, Tabby's coming in and she's going to help me with finance on the finance team. You were one of a team of 2, right? It was Josh as director of finance, and then it was you. And I feel like there's been so much growth since then. And it actually had started with me being the director of finance and poaching Josh, right? And bringing Josh into the seat and kind of exiting and then sitting in on that L10 for a while. And then you came in and filled your seat. So I would love to hear just the escalation of your journey, because I feel like your journey is so inspiring. Like, obviously you're a young person, but you've got this super impressive title and position within a really successful company that continues to grow. Like, Grant Cardone doesn't partner with a bunch of people. It's a pretty impressive thing that he's partnered so deep with Pete at Advance Your Reach and in this now 10X Stages and all the different things that you do with 10X. So I would just love to hear about your journey a little bit. I mean, last you and I had deep connection was at L10s. You were just moving to Texas. So like, catch me up and catch up our family here that's watching, because I feel like your ascension journey is inspiring to anybody that's watching that's like, I'm not sure I completely know what I'm doing. Well, let me tell you about Tabby, who came in a very similar seat of like knowing the basics, but hadn't really had a ton of application yet, from my understanding. And then now has ascended all the way up to manager of that department, and not only that department, but overseeing a bunch of different entities. So talk to us about that, sister.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey for sure, and has been different than what I ever would have anticipated. But yeah, I mean, like Aaron said, I came in to AYR, Advance Your Reach. At the time, we were really operating solely as Advance Your Reach in 2020, right at the beginning of the year. So kind of a volatile time to be coming in anyway. But I was honestly kind of stumbled into my position. I was not planning to be working. I've had I always say I've lived multiple lives, which I'm 28 years old. That sounds a little silly, but it's like I was in nursing school. I had a lot of different areas I had previously worked in and been trying to evolve in, and had recently decided I actually wanted to cut out some of the stuff that I was working on. I'm going to go all in on accounting. I was getting my bachelor's degree in accounting, kind of went back, started from scratch. And this job, just through some friends that I know, kind of was made aware to me. And at the time, it was, like Aaron said, just Josh, our director of finance, kind of running the show, with Aaron and Terryn very involved in some of the operational and managing all that, which is one of the reasons I have the wonderful opportunity to have gotten to work with Aaron and Terryn. And Savannah, actually, some. So yeah, I came in as a finance specialist. I was doing customer billing, a lot of reporting, collections calls. I started at the bottom of the barrel doing anything I could to help our finance department get what it needed to do. We were using Terryn in a contractor capacity very heavily at the time. So I got to work really closely and kind of taking some stuff off of Terryn. And then as we've grown, just needed more support. And I've been able to really lean into some of the leadership that is at Eternal Ventures. And I credit anything that I have been able to accomplish to that 100%. Like the leadership and mentorship that I've been able to be exposed to and be a part of is 100% why I have landed where I am and have even like the aspirations that I have now, and as far as what's next and things like that. And so, yeah, I was a finance specialist for about a year and a half. Started bringing on some more team to help support. And then I moved into the accounting manager role in about a year and a half ago now. So I've been at the company almost 3 years. Got to learn a lot, so much. And like Aaron said, like when I came in, I was starting accounting, but really didn't know a lot. And so I've also had the opportunity to have a lot of on the job learning, as far as just probably not super interesting to as many people as it is to me, but just accounting practices and principles in general. That stuff lights me up. So it's been very, very cool.
I love that you pointed out, which I think is like the first time we really heard that in our conversations. Like everyone that we have on, we've been able to have the conversation about like kind of starting out in a role that we like aren't even sure if we're able to do, and then just like excelling and growing. But what we haven't really touched on that you just did was that it has so much to do with how much your leaders and the people above you invested and spent time like training you and like caring about it, because no one's going to excel in a role if the team around them like isn't supportive. They're just going to cut their ties and then, go try something else or go work for someone else. And so I love that you pointed that out, and I think it's something that we miss, that like none of us get through this alone. And like, even if we're not doing like formal education, we're still getting education in the trenches, and we still have to be taught by somebody. We still have to be led by somebody. And so it's so important and so kind of magical that in your trajectory of like what you're choosing to do, you got into AYR, which is like arguably like one of the most like coveted spaces in the like entrepreneurial work from home world, and got to work with this stellar team to like learn the ropes on the go. I love that. I just love that you like gave credit, where we don't always think about that.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
Well, and I would say too, it lends a lot to like, yes, selfishly, it's fantastic that I've had these people pouring into me, but it also lends so much to, as I've been developing my own management and leadership style, I'm emulating what I saw. And so to know that the people that I'm working with, I want to invest in them just as much. I want to give them that opportunity. I want to be that person for them that I had. And is, like I said, the only reason I'm here. So I think it's like it's a good call out, just because like, yes, from a company standpoint, that's a fantastic thing to be looking for and leaning into, but also just from like how much it's influenced how I now lead, I think is really, really cool.
Just the acknowledgement too and just to give you props and commend you on the reforging of a person. You know what I mean? Like, I think so oftentimes we were raised to think, well, someday I'm going to be a fireman, or someday I'm going to be a doctor, or someday I'm going to be these titles that are really classified, and then you take this trajectory and then you get there and you're like, this sucks. This isn't what I want to do. You know what I mean? Even though all your life you thought that was what you wanted to do. And I think just big commendation to you to be brave and to say, it would have been easy to say, I've gone through nursing school, I'm on this trajectory to be a nurse, I'm just going to be a nurse, or whatever other past lives that you've lived that have put you on course. But I think that super big kudos to you for being aware of yourself enough to say, no, I'm not going to settle. And then number two, for being brave enough to say, no, I'm going to press into trying something completely new. And just to realize as people are listening to this and watching it either now or in the portal for ops experts or online, I would just say this too, the challenge of realizing, no, we're never done growing. We're never done stretching. We're out of the era of, my father did this. I'm going to do this. My kid's going to do this. Like that may still happen for some people, but that's not the majority of folks. And I would just encourage you, take Tabby's example of be challenged by that and don't settle on that and lean into that. And also realize a lot of businesses are just looking for bright people that are going to own things well and not let the pieces drop, and that you can ascend in a lot of companies that are out there right now just by showing up powerfully, by being a person that's like, no, I want to learn. I don't have all the answers, but I can promise you this, I'm not going to let the ball drop, and I'll make sure I chase that down until I have it. And I feel like, Tabby, you've been a great example of that. So kudos to you on the escalation in your journey, because I feel like you have only risen because of the caliber of your person plugged into an environment where they're investing in you as well. So I feel like that's a two-way street.
Mhm. Yeah. That's great. That's tough to switch like that. I remember I didn't know what I wanted to do. So people would ask me, what are you going to do after high school? What do you want to be when you grow up? And I didn't know what to say. So eventually I just said, I want to be alive. And so far, I'm crushing it every day I wake up.
Classic territory.
All right, Abby, next question for you. Best story, something you learned or taught in your years here, a couple years with Eternal Ventures. What do you got for us?
Well, I think my entire journey as a manager has been one giant learning curve, so it's hard to quantify any of it. But I think what I can assign the most value to how it's changed not only my own like capacity and performance, but also in how my team is performing. It's probably what I realize that saying yes to everything is not all actually getting me to the goal that I wanted to get to. I think that's like the best way I could say it is I don't know if anyone else has this tendency, but I tend to be a bit of a people pleaser. I love to help people. And for a long time, I equated being the person to take something on, to take something off of someone else's plate. Like I'm the one who's going to make it happen. To me, that was like, I'm doing the most that I can. I am helping it like as big as I can. I'm making the biggest impact. And it took me a really long time to start recognizing that sometimes I was actually hurting the situation. And honestly, I created a lot of messes for a long time. I'm so driven to be that person for everyone that I'm not being realistic with what is actually doable. Like there are only 24 hours in a day, and they should not all be spent working. And then also not taking ownership in what I'm committing to, like letting people just come and say, hey, here's this, and not asking the follow-up questions, not understanding what is this, what implications are there associated with this, everything that's wrapped up in this, with the deadlines associated with all of that. And I think anything I've learned, I've also taught, because I'm a big believer that we follow what we see. You got to practice what you preach. And I can see some of these things that I've struggled with. And like, honestly, until I had someone under me, like Aaron said, it was me and Josh for a long time. And then I started bringing people on, and I started seeing some of these same struggles that I was going through in other people, and like light bulb, oh, I cannot do that. Like I am literally creating these issues for my team. And so that recognition of like those, I like two things in conjunction, where it's like recognizing that I'm creating how my team is going to operate by how I operate. And so like I have to hold myself to a certain standard if I want them at a certain standard. Also, just that recognition of saying no to something could actually be the best thing you can do for the movement of a project or organization or something, whatever it may be, or saying yes with caveats, like understanding what those things are, where are the areas that I don't just have to say yes, I have to understand what I'm committing to, and I have to then reverse engineer that to determine if I can say yes.
Yeah, we've all definitely learned how to say no.
Yeah,
When
everyone.
you just love helping people, you love what you do, you love getting to work, saying yes way too much. You learn real quickly how to say no, and not no because you can't do something, but no because you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Either time or maybe somebody else could step up and be the one now.
I think like leaning into that too. I know Savannah's like nodding because she's like, Savannah is such like, she just wants to show up and she wants to show up well and she wants to show up strong, but it leads to like break down in other areas. I mean, things start failing at home or things start failing over here because you can't always say yes. Otherwise, there's going to be failure. All of us struggle with that. Terryn actually has been the best teacher for me personally on that because I can fall into that all the time. I'm like, yeah. No, we got that. Yeah, we got that. No. And Terryn's like, no, we don't have that. So like, you need to be clear. Like, we cannot do that for him. I mean, we cannot do that for them because it's going to cost us someplace else. There's another client that's going to pay for that. There's personal life that's going to pay for that. There's all different things. And Savannah actually on our last 555, because she's a princess and I love her. She's just like, hey, because we're, on 555s, you rate how you're matching up to the ethos. That's one of the beginning parts of 555s is how are you matching the company values. And Savannah had to call me on it. She's like, hey, one of our company values is that work-life balance. Work does not trump over life. Like, I don't expect you to drop your things at home for the sake of picking up things for work. And Savannah's like, hey, I just want to challenge you on that because I watch you and I watch how much you're always available and I watch how much you're saying things and super appreciate Savannah and her speaking into my life and holding me accountable. And she rated me down. She couldn't give me a plus. And I'm like, hey, I'll take it. I'll receive it. So I think it's awesome to be humble enough and willing enough to realize we're all learning and we're all growing. And no is a really big part of that. And that's what keeps the best things, because Terryn Turner has coined the phrase, when everything's important, nothing is. You know what I mean? And I think when everything's an emergency, when everything's a crisis, nothing is, because we don't know what the priority scale is. So it's good.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think I've already been slacked or emailed for things with the word ASAP in them today already. All right, Savannah, anything for you before our last question?
Not super related, but kind of, I just was going to say that I just really want Terryn to lead a special episode of Ops Experts or make like some kind of like little doc that everyone can download that's like how to say no professionally that has what you say. And it'd be real good.
I love being
for any of those Terryn videos personally.
Terryn videos are the best. I'll say this is that I've been in meetings where like high level, powerful leaders have asked for something. And in front of a large group of people, Terryn's like, nope, can't do that. And I just watch their face just like fall flat. Like they just don't get people saying that a lot of times. But what I've equally noticed is Terryn has really elevated in how much people respect him. I feel like almost expressly for that because of the times he's like, no, that I can't do that right now. I can have that sheet by the end of the week, but that can't be done today. And I love that about him. So Terryn, yes, we need Terryn episodes. You're like the mini little series that goes on in the major series. We love it. Good.
Yeah. I've been good at the yes, but answer so far. So it's like, well, yes, but here's the 6 other things you've asked me to do. So
yes, but and maybe why.
All right. So tell me about your biggest hurdle, either dealing with now or in the past. So maybe something you did have to jump through or are jumping through.
Well,
When maybe it not being that this might not have been the best time to schedule this interview with you, seeing as it's end of month reporting time and end of year reporting time. And they not realize.
Well, Terryn, I said yes. So
there it is.
Not on you. Yeah. Biggest hurdle. I think I'll go with present because there's always one, like Aaron said. Jess Andrews is our, I guess she's our COO now. And she always says, leadership is a mountain without a top. We're never there. Like you never arrive and are just ready to go. So I will say there are always going to be hurdles, present hurdles. I think one that is I am currently kind of in the thick of, as I feel like I'm aware of it and it's something I'm working on, but I have a lot of human that tries to sneak in and tries to reset to like my default settings and not want me to operate that way. And I think that would be recognizing where I need to be involved in like doing versus managing. I think that honestly, from the get-go has been one of my biggest hurdles coming up from a different position and being in a very different role. I think it honestly kind of compounded what would already be there of this like little bit of when something comes up, I just feel like I have to take care of it. That's definitely my default of like, oh, I got this, I'll handle it, take care of it. And honestly, similar to what I said for the other question of where it's just that recognizing where my time actually needs to go, my time, my energy, like whatever, like mental capacity I'm eating up with various tasks. And I have tended to lean a lot more towards the doing and like my way to get it off my plate, my way to move forward is just to do it. And in that, been able to kind of stunt my growth as a leader and like not facilitate being able to have someone else that can perform this. So I'm not stretching my capacity constantly, but also being able to like invest in my team. Like I'm kind of taking away these opportunities from some other people on my team because I'm just doing them and not allowing them to learn the processes associated with it. And can also be missing out on like insight and context that they have because of something they do in their role that they would see in doing this function that I don't. And so just like some of the kind of mental block with going from I report to these people, I do everything that I need to do, to the more like operational minded side of things where I'm needing to actually manage an entire department. I mean, there's only five of us now, but it's still like, it's a lot. It can be a lot to stay on top of and to stay aware. And I've recognized that's been like one of the things I've recognized the most recently is where I am still trying to stay on top of everything by doing everything. Whereas I actually need to put the time and energy into slowing down, developing processes, determining who actually needs to own these things so that they're continuing to be done on a regular basis. It's not always coming back to me. And I think that has been something I've definitely had some growth in for sure, but I still feel a lot of just natural inclination to try. Like, I don't like that. And I am trying to like mentally move over that a little bit. But I think that's the biggest thing. And I see it again, I don't know how much growth I would have had without bringing more team on, because what I've recognized, and I imagine a lot of us are like this, is I am willing to do a lot of things to myself that I'm not willing to do to others. And so as soon as I like bring other people in and see what some of the ways I'm managing or not managing, just getting things done, what it then does to my team's timeline and their work-life balance and their like, and the expectations and routines that it creates for them, like all of that is what I think really compounded, and seeing it in others is like, oh, again, like, nope, can't do that. And so started with one person on our team that was able to show me a lot in how she was showing up, and then grew, got more people on. And I think that's been another thing that it's become more important because we have these people so that they can perform tasks. So I need to use them. So yeah, that's the current, I would say, biggest learning curve that there's growth. I'm making progress, but I definitely don't feel like I have mastered that yet. Nor will I, who knows, ever.
It's hard because it's one of those things where it's like you're doing it, you're trying to be kind. Like it's almost like a mama bear thing where it's like they're under you. You already know what the task looks like. You're like, oh, that task sucks. I'm just gonna do it for them. But then then they're not becoming better at their job. But it's like it was out of kindness, and that's why I think we default back to it, because it's just like it feels like the nice thing to do in the moment.
I think one of the most exciting and frustrating moments is when you do deliver this process to somebody under you you've been working on for so long. You give it to them and they're like, oh, awesome, I can do this. And then they do it and it's just like, no big deal. You're like, do you know how much time I spent on this task?
I thought you were going to, when they throw out your SOP and they just do it their own way and then their way like works for them and you're like,
or that too would just like, you used to spend so much time on this process. You've done it for a year. This SOP's got 10 variations. You deliver it to someone and they're just like, cool, nice. And it's frustrating. Like, do they even know the trail I blazed for this?
We don't.
I think too, it's hard to hand off, right? I think that all of us at some level enjoyed the stuff we did before we handed it off. And it's always that trick of like, okay, so is this the SOP I hand off? Is this the piece I hand off? I think delegate elevates work great for EOS in that, you know what I mean? Of like, what's the highest form of brilliance I should be living at? You know, what do I love? Am I great at? You know, what I like? Am I good at? What do I not like, but I'm good at? And then what am I not good at or I don't like? Or I would say down here, what shouldn't I be giving my time to? And I think that's a good ascension for it. But it's always hard to give off some of those tasks that are a little bit mindless, because I think all of us use that as kind of breathing room sometimes where we're not on a call. We don't have to do high level thinking. We're able to click through things, find things, do things. So it's always tough handing stuff off because it's like, there's part of you that you're giving away. Like Terryn was saying, do you know how long that took me to get this to this high level of brilliance? And then when you hand it off, you're like, I miss you. That's part of it. So it's tricky.
Savannah, anything from you?
No, just like I said, like it's just one of those things that's hard to break because you feel like you're doing something nice. And yeah, I have been on the side of making an SOP for someone a few times now where they've thrown out my SOP and I'm like, you're gonna break everything, and then they do it just fine without me, and I'm like, oh, Okay. More than one way to do a thing, I guess.
I'm not the only one who knows how to do this. What?
Yeah.
Which should be empowering because that means that you can hand more off and have faith in the process. But
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Tabby, real quick, I like to throw in a curveball last question if we've got a minute. Just real quick answer. What's something Tabby today would tell Tabby first day working Eternal Ventures as a little piece of advice?
Ooh, Terryn. That's a good one. Little piece of advice, your time matters. I think that's honestly probably the overarching theme. Time is money. I only have so much. Got to use it well.
That's beautiful. I like that. Great thing to end on. And it's nice when you can work for a person and a company that also agrees your time matters.
that's
Right.
awesome.
And they're not just buying your time, but it's a trade-off and you're just as important as what you do.
I agree 100%.
That's really cool. Well, it was awesome talking with you. Really appreciate you joining us this week.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much, you
time.
guys.
Mhm.
Tabby, so good to see you, sister. So proud of you. Keep doing awesome stuff. Keep raising up amazing people underneath you. And thank you for joining us on Ops Experts Club.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ops Experts Club podcast. New episodes available every week on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're curious about how some of the biggest names in entrepreneurship have scaled their businesses to the next level, check out some of our best content on this topic by going to foundationsthatscale.com. You can find the link in our bio and do your part to improve as an ops expert.